All right, Jeff Zimmerman with esteemed, famed, one of the best trainers in the whole world, Robert Garcia, future Hall of Famer. Man, I don't know if people talk about you like that enough, if they are, because you've been one of the best and since I've been covering the sport, 15, 20 years. But how you doing, Robert?
Doing great. You gotta set up yourself with a good team, good fighters. Treat everybody well, and your name will be out there. But I'm still working. I'm not done yet. I still got a lot more to do.
Yeah, this isn't a retirement interview by any means.
Yeah,
But
I
I
don't, I
haven't,
don't, I don't, I don't want to retire yet.
right.
I think I still have a few years left. So yeah, we got to continue doing it.
Yeah, I would see you out here in your home away from home in Dallas, Fort Worth, coming out. I know you got some stuff going on in San Antonio, but it's been a while, so I'm thankful to catch up with you.
Yeah, definitely. Anywhere in Texas, I always have fun. Texas has always been great to us. It doesn't matter where in Texas. The fans are special. When it comes to the love of the sport, the love for the boxers, for us as trainers, the family. Just the fact that my dad, myself, Mikey, my son, everybody's involved. We get a lot of love from everybody in Texas. It's different the way it is in any other state. Texas is special.
Yeah, it is. And, I think you remember I'm from California originally, but been here 24
Right.
years and I'm not
Right.
moving back. So, um, but listen, before we get going and get into this little fight over this past weekend and everything else you have going on, I was at Fernando Vargas's gym a few months ago in Vegas. And of course, I had to ask him about you, your dad, and Mikey. And for about 20 minutes, he just talked about your family and the love and sharing a room with you and just, just what you did for him, just, and to see Fernando now with his own kids, what does that mean to you guys, your family, and especially your dad?
Well, you know what? He always says that if it wasn't for my dad, he wouldn't have been around or alive because growing up he grew up pretty rough, family issues, without a father and stuff like that, running around the streets, and then when my dad picked him up, on his way to the gym, when he was walking or running to the gym, one day my dad's like, look at those kids, man, they're always, we see them walking every day. And my dad told him, hey, what, where do you guys live? So they actually live not very far from where we lived in Oxnard. So my dad started giving him rides to the gym. It was him and his younger brother, and everything started there. Fernando became like another one of the family. He had personal problems with his at home with his mom, stepdad, and stuff like that. So he would come over to my dad's house uh, quite often. I got kicked out. Can I stay here? So my dad would let him stay in the house. Spend months at a time. Sleeping in a personal one person bed. Me and him would sleep together. We were young. We
Yeah,
were
yeah.
we were still young, so we were like kids. But yeah, we slept together and in the same bed for a while. And shared the same clothes. Because when Fernando would come over to our house, he had nothing with him, nothing at all. So he would borrow my clothes to school, and stuff like that. And that's the way we grew up. And that's why he has a lot of love for my dad. The whole family, we have the same thing for him. Now that he's doing that with his kids, it's great. Because his kids are doing great. He's guiding them the way my dad was doing that with us. So I think he learned a lot from my dad, and still, until this day, any little problem, any little thing that he has to talk to somebody, it's my dad that he calls.
It's so awesome. I mean, it really is. And just in knowing what he's gone through and then hearing him just talk about the family and your dad and then to see it, I interviewed two of his kids that day too, and just the love they have for Fernando, it's such a great story. But
No, it's great. I think he's got a great story. I think something big is coming for Fernando. He told me that something big is going to come for him. A good story on one of the big platforms. So people are going to be excited. It's going to be a really good one.
well, we'll look out for it for sure. We'll definitely see it. But listen, Robert, you've been in the biggest fights against some of the best to ever do it. As a fighter and a trainer, people forget you're a world champion fighter, I think. But break down the fight we just saw this weekend. All the buildup, all the craziness. Two different camps. One completely all business, and the other one was, a little bit Looney Tunes. Break it down for me.
It was unbelievable, man. That's the first word that come to my mind. Unbelievable, because nobody, and I mean nobody. I'm pretty sure even people close to Ryan, people around him, were probably questioning, how is the fight going to end? Does Ryan even have a chance? Because we could all say he fooled us, because we all thought, oh, he's definitely not ready to step into the ring. He needs help, because all the things that were going on social media and everything that he was saying, that he was drinking, getting high, smoking, all that. I truly believe he was going out. He was having a few drinks. I believe he was smoking. He's just one of those guys that has that special, that gifted power and speed that got him through this fight. I'm very happy for him, for his dad, his family. I know them growing up in Southern California through the amateurs. Ryan has said it himself, going to amateur tournaments where they didn't have money to rent a room in a hotel. They had to stay in the car during the tournament. That's not easy. That's doing it the hard way. And going through that and seeing them get to where they're at right now, it makes me very happy, especially knowing that he's, Mexican American from Southern California. I love what he did in the ring. It was unbelievable. But I'm one of those that didn't think he was going to perform the way he did. Just because of what we were seeing on social media and all that. And Haney, the complete opposite. He dedicated, focused, training hard. I'm sure he had great camp, great sparring, the perfect training camp. And then you have somebody that's out there partying, drinking, having fun, maybe not even showing up to the gym, showing up once in a while with Derrick James, but they go in there and he went in there and took care of business. One of the few that could get away with it. I think Mayorga was kind of like one of them. Back in the 70s or 80s, I never seen him fight, but my dad always talks about Ruben Olivares, that they said they used to get him out of the bars to go fight, because he was an alcoholic. So, if Ryan did have fun, drink during camp and everything, he's one of the only ones that could get away with that, because he's just got that gifted speed and power that's gonna get him. He gets away with that. I don't think that's something that anybody else could do. It's just Ryan.
Right. And as a trainer like yourself, you don't want something like that to catch on with other fighters, right? This is a complete one-off.
Yeah, you definitely don't want that to go to any other fighters, because now fighters might think, well, if Ryan does it, if Ryan gets away with it, I think I could do the same thing. I think I could go out. I think I could drink. And that's not for everybody. Ryan is gifted with that speed and power. He's that timing he has on that left hook is just unbelievable. I don't think there's anybody that could actually prepare for it. There's things that you could do and maybe try to avoid or block it, but it's not going to be easy. That shouldn't, trainers should not want other fighters to pick up those habits. I think Ryan's the only one that could get away with it. Definitely wouldn't want any of my fighters doing stuff like that. Very similar. Brandon Rios was a little bit of a wild kid also, but never to that. Never to that. case where we had to, stop him from drinking or anything like that. He used to have fun and everything, but during camp, he was dedicated. There was a few fights early in his career where a couple weeks before the fight, he was still out there partying and drinking, but it didn't happen when he became champion or anything. He was, he focused and dedicated himself when he was champion. But Ryan is just, like I said, just something, somebody special.
Yeah, that's such great perspective too. And just to hear, knowing him, seeing him grow up. And of course, the money he's made, not even in the ring, but outside the ring, I'm sure it's just different levels for someone like Ryan having all that money so young.
Wow, it's unbelievable. Like I said, just for him, his family growing up, broke, with not enough money to travel and stuff like that, having to sleep in the car. That's a great story. I think he's earned everything he has and everything he's made through social media, through boxing. And he's so young, he's so talented. He gets the attention of millions of people. He's worldwide known. So there's always, somebody that young is always going to get a lot of attention, especially from females, from girls, that are gonna want to be part of him. So, how could you say no to so much of that? How could you, especially being young, he's a great looking kid, so man, it's not easy, it's not easy for him. But I'm pretty sure he's also, his parents, his team around him are also going to make sure he puts his money away, make sure he invests right, and secure himself for the rest of his life.
Let me ask you, Robert, because you would know this as well as anybody. I talked to his dad. They had a Dallas media day here in Dallas at Derek's gym. And I asked his dad, you don't become a 15-time national amateur champion unless you can box, right? And Spence kind of had that same, thing around him before he fought Mikey. There was a lot of people saying that, they thought Mikey would outbox him, at least 50% of the people, a lot of, distinguished, boxing people. And, Spence was an Olympian. So, I mean, can you just clear that up for people? If you do that well in the amateurs, you got to be able to box. You're not knocking out everybody.
You know what? You all that experience in the amateurs and all those national titles do help, obviously, but I see the amateurs to the pros as two totally different sports. We've also seen, and I've had in my gym, and I've worked with amateurs that were sensational, unbelievable, never get beat, winning every national title. But then in the pros, for one or the other reason, they just don't make it, are not able to perform. And even though there's other cases where discipline, dedication, stuff like that gets involved, well, then that's obviously a bigger part of it. But guys that won everything that everybody was after, from the amateurs, and then when it comes to turning pro, they're still dedicated, they're still focused, they still give it 100% in the gym, and they just can't make it. There's fighters that could be fighting, 10, 12 professional fights, and you still can't jump them from 4 to 6 rounds because they're not ready, even though they had 300 amateur fights. But then you have the ones that didn't have that much amateur experience and become world champions. It's just, I think this totally two different sports. There's Olympians, medalists that never become champions, where if I'm thinking it's the same sport, any Olympian, gold medalist, silver, bronze medalist, you're already fighting the best in the world. You're fighting the best in every country. So why wouldn't you be able to become a world champion? And it doesn't happen, all the time. Very few make it. So I think it's two different sports.
Interesting. And to your point, his dad brought up Luke Campbell, who was a gold medalist that Ryan knocked out. So
that's a perfect example there. That's the way I see it. I think it's just like I said, different sport, different punches, different, in the amateurs, they don't count body shots that much. And in the pros, body shots are a big factor when you go to the body good, and you know how to work the body, solid punches. And amateurs, they count a lot of points, where in the pros, one punch could change the fight around, so it's totally different. I just think in the amateurs, all my fighters, all my amateur program that I have, and all the kids that I'm preparing, I'm not preparing them to become amateur superstars. I'm preparing them to become professional fighters. I'm teaching them the professional style. I'm making my amateurs spar with my professional fighters because they need to be professionals. You could be an Olympian, you could be a gold medalist, and yes, you're gonna get a way bigger contract. You're gonna get a way better minimums and everything. But at the end of the day, they all want to become world champions. Once you become world champion, then obviously the purses and everything's going to be big. So, I prepare my fighters to be professional fighters.
Interesting. That's interesting. Were you surprised, Devin Haney and his dad, they've done it their own way throughout his career, and it's worked up until the Saturday night.
Exactly.
Hiring different trainers, signing with different promoters, kind of doing these 3-4 fight deals. I talked to Richard Steele on Sunday morning. He called me and he said to me, why wasn't there a world-class trainer in his corner? This was, Bill was the lead trainer. Were you surprised when you saw that he didn't have a Ben Davidson, someone like you, in the biggest fight of his career?
Well, I was surprised because, like you just said, they've done so well, from the beginning. Never signed them to any big promoter, fought them so many times in Tijuana, did everything on his own, did everything their way. When they become big stars, champions, they haven't signed to a top promoter for a long time. They signed fight by fight, maybe 2 or 3 fights at a time. So they've done it their way, and they did well. They did well, but comes a day where you're gonna need to do something about it. You're gonna need the help. And I think now Bill Haney and Devin Haney should realize that the time has come. They need to bring somebody into their camp. And I'm not saying they need to bring somebody into their camp. I think they need to join another camp, because bringing somebody to their camp is still going to be their way. It's still going to be the rules. It's going to be the way they want. They've been doing it. And I'm not saying they've done a bad job, because the kid became undisputed. The kid is a 2-division world champion. The kid, was pound for pound on the top 10 list. I'm not saying they've done things wrong, but the time did come where they need to join somebody else, another team where they're not going to be the main stars, where they're not going to be the full attention in their gym, wherever they do their camps. And if they bring somebody in, he's still going to be the star. He's still going to be the main guy. He's still going to call the shots. I think he needs to go to a camp where he's going to get fighters that want to kick his ass, that are not there, that are not hired to spar with him, that are there in that gym, and you're coming to my gym, we're going to kick your ass. And that's what he needs. That's the type of mentality he needs now, to be in a place where he's not that comfortable. I think it's time now. They've done so good up until this last Saturday. Now it's time for him to find something else. With all due respect to Bill Haney, I don't want him to feel offended or feel like I'm trying to say he's not good. He's done a great job. Look, his son, pound for pound, one of the best fighters in the world, undisputed, 2-division champion. He's done a great job, business-wise and in the gym. But I do believe when it comes to the gym, when it comes to training, it wouldn't be a bad idea for him to join a team where he's going to get all that work.
Interesting. And just, we won't dwell on the fight much longer, Robert, but what could have Devin done differently? Just from watching it, everyone knows the left hook is coming. That's the money punch from Ryan. Yet he kept getting hit by it. He had it seemed like he had no answers.
I think it was just the first round, that first left hook that Ryan landed, I think changed everything around. Even on, we're talking about Devin, which I'm pretty sure he felt it, and you know, Ryan has that special, that gifted left hook, speed and power, and you know, accuracy. You know, that's his gifted talent. Uh, when Devin when Devin got hit with it, he didn't expect it, and he didn't expect it to be that fast and strong. I think that changed everything around for Devin, and I also think it changed everything around for Ryan. I think if 5-6 rounds would have gone by and Ryan never landed anything hard, anything solid, I think it would have been a total different fight. I think it would have been all Haney, and Haney would have probably stopped him later in the rounds. I think it was that first left hook that Ryan landed that gave him that confidence, knowing that he could, that Haney wasn't going to be able to take his punch. That's why he was confident, and that's why he did it over and over and dropped him 3 times. You know, and that also changed Haney's mentality. Man, that didn't figure out what to do. You know, when you're winning and winning and winning, that happened to Derrick James. You know, with all his young fighters winning, always winning, and then comes the fight against Crawford, and it kind of seemed like he kind of got a little confused. Like, but now that taught him so much that's going to make him better. So I think that's going to be the same situation with Haney and Bill. Bill Haney had never gone through that. You know, his son's always winning. He doesn't train anybody else. He's never experienced a tough loss. He's never experienced anything like that. So this should teach him a lot.
Yeah, that's great perspective. This is why I wanted to talk to you, Robert, because you bring so much perspective because you've been in those fights.